TheRapl, Looki. Before we jump into this first one, so what are you seeing in this draft that's really popping out to you?
I see a Loki ban for Looki. I think that's pretty much expected. I think that's his favorite god, maybe along with Odin. But other than that, Nuwa ban for Looki is a bit interesting. And Thor ban for Rebel, Ra ban for Rebel, pretty much expected. I think these are just solid high tier picks. And then Rebel first picking Kronos. That's cool to see. What else is there to say? Shenong pick for Rebel. That's obviously cool. Hopefully, we get to see some Chinese.
Yeah, we got to see a little taster of Rappel's Shenong yesterday against Recon. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the conclusion of that game, but he's definitely got some tricks with that god that are very, very scary to deal with. What I'm excited to see, though, Soup, is we get to see Rappel's Odin. TheRapl is originally an Odin main. He only played Odin on Legacy, basically, right? Up until he started to say, you know what, I need to pick some other gods to get through some of these tough matchups.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see him going back to his roots here. Every time I watch his Odin, I'm like, yeah, this guy, he plays this god on every level at an incredibly high rate. I'm very excited. I hope we get to see it in this series.
I think for a long while, people have been really just placing Odin on like bottom D tier or whatever you call that bottom tier. And I think probably for a good cause, Odin has been struggling. But with maybe some recent nerfs in recent patches, and I think maybe a bit of quality of life buffs to Odin as well, I don't think Odin is necessarily all that bad anymore. I think he's got plenty of maps and matchups where he will shine, where he'll excel, especially in the hands of an experienced player like TheRapl.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so first map, and really, really interesting matchup here as well. Bamboo Grove, very, very defensive, but also very, very timing attack-ish. Isis versus Frey. Is there anything here in particular we need to watch out for, or what are you thinking?
This is a new map, and the middle town centers in particular, I haven't quite grasped myself. What is the approach with these middle town centers? Because oftentimes they're going to be protecting behind that town center and the forest. So many resources, so much hunt, so much gold, and obviously there being forest, so much wood as well. So I think if you do secure yourself one of those middle town centers, you're pretty much set and good to go into the late game. But at the same time, you will also allow your opponent to do the same. And we're seeing here Isis versus Frey. Both of these gods are perfectly happy going to the late game. I don't even know who I would rather play as. Probably Frey, to be honest. If this was to go into something like a 2 TC into 3 TC fast mythic, just hypothetically speaking, I think I'd honestly rather play Frey in that situation.
There's if I was maybe playing like a set or a Ra, having access to Shifting Sands, I might say I'm going to prefer to play the Egyptian here because I can grab that forward town center, like you say, while also preparing to deny the forward town center of my opponent using Shifting Sands. It's a lot harder with Isis. She doesn't have that mobility and ability to just kind of say, hello there, I've got a whole bunch of dudes on your town center to deny it. What she does have is Plague of Serpents. So there is a world where you drop your far second town center, you go Anubis, you get yourself your barracks, you drop Plague of Serpents on the forward town center, and then you're sending in your Axeman straight away to try and deny it. And then you're trying to force that Frey player back.
But, I like that play.
These are some very specific strategies, which these players have already probably experienced 9 times, 10 times in their scrims, so they're going to be able to play around this stuff. We'll see what they're going to go for. Hey,
I think also we played a game, and you played on this map, and you played Isis, and you went for something of a timing attack with Ancestors Eclipse. I think that's really good too, because that forward town center secures a lot of resources, but at the same time, super exposed, and there's no nearby forest other than it's not directly protecting it. So plenty of opportunities. Different strategies here.
Any sort of launching pad off that forward town center is going to be great. But we're going to figure out very, very shortly now as we're going to move into game number 1. TheRapl, Looki, Isis versus Frey. And here we go. Top of the map is TheRapl, the blue Isis. Bottom of the map is Looki, the red Frey.
Let's actually take a look at these middle town centers, Vodka. What are they looking like? So we got the one over here. This is what I'm saying. It's kind of exposed. It's standing there alone. But then you see behind it, there's a gold mine. There's 2 gold mines, and it's the same story over on the right side. Plenty of hunt in the back, plenty of gold mine available if you secure one. And it's just, yeah, they're protecting a lot, but at the same time, they're very exposed. So I do like this map for this feature. It does feel like it's somewhat unique for this map.
Yeah, it's I've said it a couple of times on my own cast. The really cool thing with the Chinese DLC, with the specific way that all these maps seem to work, is that the center of the map has got nothing. The
Yeah.
outside of the map has got everything, which is kind of like almost the flip of what the regular maps are. So I think that the theme is cool, and the games that get played here are really unique. But maybe let's talk about what Rappel's going for here. He's already getting himself a pickaxe. He's going for a very quick Flood of the Nile opening. This is time and time again. This is kind of your standard. Get as many resources as you possibly can. The only problem with this is it slows your advance time down, which does mean that there are some weaknesses you're going to have to potentially deal with. That being said, when you're playing against Frey also wants to go for a late advance time, gets hand axe, gets pickaxe, and can be slow, and it's totally fine, right?
You do have a lot of space available when you're playing Isis versus Frey in the early game. Generally speaking, you're not going to see any early aggression coming out of the Frey player, unless they sometimes 1 out of 20 games
yeah.
they're going to go for Freya with that early Valkyrie raid.
Okay. Yep.
I was
I was gonna ask. Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off. I have to ask. My little kid inside of me. If Rappel goes for a 4 town center here, Looki spots it immediately. Is there a portable ram rush available? Is that ever exist against Isis, or is the like fast heroic ancestors eclipse too much to defend?
Well, look at the gold mines for Rebel. You know, they're actually, he's got that first initial gold mine. Other than that, they're quite exposed, aren't they? So if you imagine just a hill fort, an Asgardian hill fort in Rebel's face on top of his base, you know, I could definitely see something like that happening. Why? So you're basically putting on the pressure in front of his base while you're denying the gold mines on the outer skirts of the map. We do see Uller in for Looki.
Yeah, he does the old pre-queue. I don't mind this. I know some people are like, I wish that the pre-queue kind of waited for the dwarf to finish. I don't really mind this. This is kind of like you're going for a 4:15 advance time. You get your dwarf out at 4:30. It's never really
You lose out
bad.
on minimal amount of resources, something like 25 resources you lose here, but then you get that slightly faster advance. So all in all, it's perfectly fine.
But we see the Anubis is coming through for Rappel, so he's definitely. I don't know. He's throwing up a monument as well, so he actually might be going for a 1 town center play here, even with 9 villages on gold. This is a little bit interesting.
Surely it's 2 town centers, don't you think?
I mean, I think it almost has to be, but I personally I wouldn't be dropping. I'm talking about my own specific ISIS here, so this is like too much meta or whatever. I wouldn't go for the monument because it hurts my position, but it seems like the resources are all in, and this build is absolutely awesome from Rappel. He's going to be able to drop the towns, and he has to walk over there. That's the delay. He's not going to be able to drop it straight away, but he gets the second monument. He's going to be able to build an Anubite pretty much straight away. He's got the food for it, and yeah, early second town center. This is really nice.
He's got Plague of Serpents to either defend his own second TC if Looki tries to put on the pressure, or he can use it on Luki's second TC insofar as he tries to build one. So it's a nice little versatility in that Plague of Serpents in this scenario. Looki does have the house here, so he sees it. It'll be interesting to see what Looki does in response.
Yeah, no, guys, if you guys download this recorder game, study this replay, because this build order from Rappel is absolutely insane. He's already getting himself Necropolis through while getting a second town center, while having 2 monuments. And I would imagine there's an Anubite to come, or already out as well. Has he got 2 Anubites? I don't even. I think he does. So this is just pressure, town center, and problems coming for Looki very, very quickly.
Yeah, Looki, he's getting his Asgardian Bastion now, but he's not considering a town center here at all. Although his resources may indicate that he would want to go for one, it's gonna be hard. And insofar as he does decide to go for one, it's gonna be much delayed compared to what TheRapl is getting.
A bit of damage onto the Anubite. I know Looki, he's a very aggressive player, and he also has pretty tight build orders from what I understand. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually, with this hill fort in the positioning that it's in, with the town center that TheRapl's grabbed, I wouldn't be surprised to see the portable rams here.
Would be cool. Would be really cool
These
to
barracks,
see it.
those are barracks, not armory. Okay, yeah, this is exactly what TheRapl needs to do. He's going to have to defend this. He's scouting, but he doesn't know for certain. You can hide it by just getting the rams into your hill fort and then popping them out when you have 3. But soon we'll know as the observers.
23 favorite. Where did he even get that from?
I think he's just smacking Anubites. He's killed his chickens.
Yeah,
he actually took the time to maybe shoot.
Look at it. He's
down.
getting
It's
it.
coming.
Eagle
Alrighty.
here.
Well, we're here for action right now, and this is going to be it.
Holy, this is such a risky play to go for because TheRapl has got his forward town center, and TheRapl is playing it really, really well. He's kind of at least he's playing so defensively that he can have the proper reaction insofar as this does come out. So he's got the 2 barracks up. He's got access to mercenaries from the town center, and he can even send some of his villagers back to start whacking at the portable rams if they come there.
I mean, it all comes down to execution now. Can you snipe the units off with your throw and axeman? Get the Huskal out maybe to deal with the slingers that potentially going to come through.
It's a good pick up here.
All of that other stuff. It's very, 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 very spicy to say the very least. Now, the ram is out. There is an obelisk. Is that an obelisk at the front or a Nubite? Like right to the north of us. Yeah. Okay. So there is an obelisk, and I don't know if TheRapl sees this or not. Has TheRapl spotted a ram yet?
Oh, I doubt it. I doubt it. What we can see here? No, I don't think so.
Just outside. Luke has got to be careful not to show this.
Yeah, so TheRapl, even though he hasn't actually spotted the big army that Looki is accumulating, he's still just building Anubites. He's queuing up QWE, like you're saying, just get a bunch of everything out.
And you have to think about this from the perspective of TheRapl. It doesn't matter what's coming for him. He knows there's an attack coming for him because there's no second town center. The Rams now actually revealed.
Yep.
And there's no way TheRapl doesn't see this. TheRapl is a hawk with his vision. He's always got his eyes on that mini-map. He'll see the red blob, and he knows stuff's coming for him. Can he defend it or not? That's the question.
I think the Anubites should be good at targeting down these rams. There's 3 rams in for Looki, 2 right here, and a third one has just been produced. So the timing has to come in right now, and we'll see. Plague of Serpents used preemptively. Very nice to see.
Plague of Serpents in, those throwing. He's got to pull those cursor away. You can't be having them bash down against Axeman. They do so much damage. 3 rams in, however, as the town center getting taken out very, very quickly. Looki pulling back and trying to make it all work. The Herser to take out 1 Anubite. There's 1 more that he needs to clean up. There's not that many military units here for the TheRapl, but he only needs to defend. 1 ram going to be remaining as the villagers to come through. Pharaoh empowering that repair rate is gigantic there. And Looki not able to crack the town center.
This is bad for Looki, obviously, that he doesn't get the town center. But that being said, all the Anubites, save for the one that was just coming out now for TheRapl, is gone. And TheRapl is, sure, he's ahead by some 15, 16 villagers. But I don't know, there's a potential that Looki can just build 2 new rams and he can do it all over again.
Going for Ring Oath. Another, what do you think? Another hill fort on the front here? There's a lot of slingers getting out a whole bunch of Huskal here as well. The thing that Looki needs here, killing off a town center is whatever. Like if TheRapl loses the town center or doesn't, realistically it doesn't matter that much. What matters is the villagers.
Yeah.
And TheRapl can run.
TheRapl can sack this position and he'll be still perfectly fine, being ahead by almost 20 villagers at this stage, yeah.
I like this little barracks here that TheRapl threw up. That's a little bit more defensive. But now all the axemen are out. And where are the thrown axemen for Looki? TheRapl's army is looking scary.
Yeah, this is just TheRapl's economy is really kicking in here. And you see it reflected in the fact that TheRapl is replenishing his army at a much more rapid pace than what Looki manages to do. Prosperity gonna help even more so.
Well, yeah, prosperity is such a huge economic power spike to help ISIS through the farm transition, through the Migdol stronghold spam. Depending on what strategy you're doing, there's always like a really, really nice timing in a game to drop it down. And this is exactly what TheRapl needs. He's almost out of food. Get those farms down, get himself get up to go to the heroic age. And yeah, he is well and truly got himself a good position. He now just has to make sure that he keeps taking good fights and try to not allow this Frey player, this Looki Frey, to get to that late game, because that's realistically the next sort of opportunity for Looki here is basically the late game at this point.
Yeah, the ram play is kind of over at this stage, if we're being real. 4 Anubites, a ton of axemen and slingers in the bag as well. There's no way that Looki is going to be able to outproduce what TheRapl is doing here. Neft is coming in as well, so there will be ancestors to assist TheRapl here too.
Well, I guess what we're seeing here from Looki, I'm not sure he's going to quite be able to get this up, but this is an absolutely wild idea. But potentially, if you can get 2 more fortresses up, one on this position here on the forward gold mine, one on the right-hand corner, you might be able to get like a gold staff going at like 15, 16 minutes. He has to win a big fight to make that happen. It's very, very unlikely.
Yeah,
I gotta give something to it. I gotta give something. Some hope here. I gotta give the hope.
Good wall here from Looki. Take that as your hope, okay?
That is some hope. Idle villager time caused. Let's go.
I don't know. And if Looki attacks over on the left now, where that new hill fort is positioned, he's got that hill fort to assist him with firepower, and he can build new huskarls from there, whatever it is he decides to do. TheRapl, he's on the case. He's building a Migdol there on that forward gold mine over on the right, so that whatever it was you said was theoretically possible is definitely no longer possible with that Migdol up.
When there's the ancestors to come in to add insult to injury with this economic deficit that Looki is facing, losing a bunch of villages and the idle time here. There is School and Burst, a great little berserk right into the main base. He's going to get 1 villager kill, but that's going to be it.
Maybe a few more here.
No, I lied. That's 2 villager kills. He's going after the farmers. TheRapl's not paying attention here.
The thing is, the villager kills on Looki are so much more effective than the villager kills on TheRapl, because Looki's sitting on 1 TC, TheRapl's sitting on 2, TheRapl's already on 60 villagers. So, percentage-wise, even though Looki killed more vills than what TheRapl did, yeah, you know, it just strikes Looki much harder. It's going to be harder for Looki to come back from than for TheRapl.
Well, we said that Looki here is going to be able to pull out onto the left-hand corner. I'll go with the most crazy of angles.
Yeah?
Because why not? If there's a world where Looki sneaks up that top left-hand corner town center where he just ran past the wall, does he not have a Ghoul and Bursty Tempest angle into the main base?
There's the Ghoul and Bursty angle, that's true. The big issue is, save for that one town center, the town centers that he's got for himself, his own second, his own third TC, they're so defensive. And what he needs now is an aggressive play, and he's not going to get that unless he goes for the town center that you just mentioned.
Yeah, well, and also TheRapl breaking the wall there and pushing out with the axeman, he's going to be able to deny over there nicely. I wouldn't be surprised to see TheRapl dropping a 3rd town center. He's pre-queuing up Osiris. He's not close to having the food for the time being, but getting Osiris in, that's where things get incredibly tough for the North, with this specific Norse army and most Norse armies. You kind of need almost Ballista or a ton of like raiding cavalry to catch the Osiris out, the Son of Osiris out, to actually kill the thing.
Tempest does help out a lot if Son of Osiris is mispositioned and there isn't a Migdol nearby. then you can definitely try to surround that thing with the Tempest. So that's an option. But the issue is, I think Rebel is just in such a dominant economic position that if nothing much is happening, if Rebel is just allowed to sit and boom, then Rebel is just going to be perfectly fine. And this is awkward because Looki is then forced to make an aggressive play. And when Looki is forced to make an aggressive play, then he's going to have such a hard time against Son of Osiris.
Yeah, but it's not Son of
Well,
Osiris. He's changed his mind. He's going through Thoth, which
ah,
is equally scary, to be honest.
yeah, it's not like that's a bad option either. There's the Meteor, there's the Valley of the Kings, and there's the Phoenix even on a map like this with these big forests can be of good
Now,
value.
we are seeing Vidata come through for Looki. There is another small little hope here. And that hope is if he can manage to explode or kill off all of this barracks army with an Inferno.
Yeah,
That will
certainly.
give him the resources back. Whereas the Meteor, what's he really going to get? He might kill off a town center. There's no farms there. There's not like a huge amount. I guess if you Meteor the actual army is probably the
I
most
think
scary
that
part.
I think that's what Rebel's gonna do. There's rams there, they're slow, so it's gonna be tough for Looki to quickly split that army when he sees a meteor incoming.
Yeah, Looki is going for the town center we were talking about.
It's a good play. It's a really good play from Looki here.
He has to swing around with his army and then push in from the left-hand corner into the main base. There is still like 45 seconds until the Mythic Age comes through for TheRapl. Looki doesn't know that this is coming, obviously, but he needs to make an attack happen now, and he is going for it.
I think Looki can potentially have a really big Inferno coming in here. Because if he makes the big play on the home TC of Rebel, right here, for example, if he had Inferno available to him now, he could make it. He could hit the entirety of Rebel's army and the hometown center. So he's gonna hit Vidar in some, I don't know what's gonna be, like 30 seconds from now. I can see potential here.
There's something. We're gonna see some fireworks for sure. We got meteors coming. We've got infernos coming. We got a Ghoul and Burst coming. A Tempest coming as well.
Oh
There's
yeah.
a huge amount of damage coming Rapple's way and coming Looki's way.
Seeing it. Nope. Not yet.
There's that Ghoul and Burst to come down onto that. So he doesn't quite get to wait for the Mythic Age, doesn't it? Get it goes up in strength anyways when he hits Mythic Age, right?
Is that how it works? I'm not even
I'm
sure.
not actually sure. I'm not sure.
No,
I'm not
no,
sure.
it doesn't. It doesn't.
Meteor into the main base. Inferno, however, is coming straight in, and he taunts the army. It's going to get a huge explosion, and all of Rapple's army gets eviscerated. He's down to 36 population. The town center surviving here as well, it looks like. And they might be able to finish it up, but Rapple losing his main base here soon.
What a play! That Inferno, the taunt into Inferno. I don't know if that was conscious, if that was on purpose or not, but that was like a League of Legends combo. That's like top 5 League of Legends moments of the week. I love seeing that.
That's what Age of Mythology is right there. That play was gigantic. Rapple's now, however, got himself the Thoth, and he's got Valley of the King, so his Camel Riders are coming in. The town center did actually end up falling. Tempest to come through here.
Ooh, on camels, they're very speedy. They can escape this
Get out of here.
pretty much unscathed. Not the best targets to use this God Power on.
See, the thing is, Rapple's still got all of this back position. He's got gold mines, he's got food. He did lose all of those farmers, though, down to only 17, well, now 24 villages on food. But
Rebel
question,
Ah.
yeah, Looki gives up there, unfortunately.
What
He
an
feels like
ending.
he can't continue, but that was a sick moment for Looki.
Dude, if Looki didn't have such an unfortunate, I don't know, unfortunate. If he had a better early game, I think the way that this late game fireworks was happening, this would have been so good for him. But he just didn't have the economy to back it all up in the end. There, you see it reflected in the stats here. Are you kidding? 12,000
Yeah.
versus 7,000 food, 17,000 versus 10,000 gold. Well, in favor for Rebel.
Yeah, the thing is, right, the Camel Riders, when bursting against throwing axemen, they've got themselves bonus versus ranged units attached to them now for just a little bit. So they're actually doing a hefty amount of damage to those throwing axemen, and I think Looki just saw that, and he's like, I'm not even going to wait for my units to die. I know they're dead. He probably could have retreated back to his hill fort, maybe got some Herman out, tried to keep fighting, but I mean, it's still a mountain to climb, and there's no more power spikes left for the Frey player.
Was so cool to see though. Dude, that rock giant taunt into
Yeah,
Inferno. So excited to see that in the replays here. Here's that first attack. Dude, Plague of Serpents is so big here. All the throwing
yeah.
X-Men are finding it very, very difficult to target down the proper units. And if Looki doesn't micromanage these throwing X-Men thoroughly, they're going to be targeting the Anubites, they're going to be targeting the snakes, and all in all, this just means there's so much wasted damage potential on the side of
Yeah,
Looki.
you're actually watching like the throwing axe were targeting down the Anubite on the back there. The Ursa just weren't getting in. The portable rams kind of moving back and forth. If they just sat there and actually kept hitting the town center, it probably actually would have gone down. To be honest.
This is so hard for Luki though. There's so many,
Yeah,
like every single unit has to be microed perfectly here. The
yeah.
Rams has to get on target on top of the TC. Every single throwing X-Men attack, that's like every second you have to micro those units. You need the hearses on top of the Anubites, you need the Berserks away from the X-Men. You know, there's just so many things you need to take care of.
You know, Soup. Let me ask you a question here. Did he actually have to go for the attack at that point? Could he have not just pulled back and said, "Hey, I forced you to spam out a bunch of barracks units. Let me just grab my two town centers. I'll play from behind, but those barracks units aren't going to have any pushing power, and I'll be able to catch up." Was that potentially an angle?
In
Actually, that would have been
hindsight,
awesome.
yeah, for sure, because that the early engagement that he made there obviously didn't work out for him. It was at Ghoul in Bursty, and we
A
slowly
huge
let's
damage
actually
down.
just comment on this, what's going on here.
Yeah, you're gonna kill off all those this year. That yeah, no, he's did it on purpose. He sent that. I think he manually queued it as well.
Yeah. He decides he
There
wants
he
to use it
goes. There
now.
he goes. Yeah, that was
What a
manually
play.
queued.
What a
Oof.
play.
So huge.
Luki lost the game, but that's the W in my, not the W of the game, but that's a big win making that play. Really, really cool.
Oh, it looks like they experienced somewhat of a bug actually in that last game, and Looki actually didn't want to resign. Well, he wanted to resign, but he actually did give the win over to TheRapl in that position because he felt like he was too far behind, and there was that bug. So the same bug that Recon suffered yesterday. I think maybe TheRapl or Looki suffered that one. So a little bit unfortunate,
Yeah, I
but
do think Rebel was well in the driver's seat, to be fair, but unlucky for Luki, he wasn't quite able to play it out then.
yeah. Well, I don't think it was. It's not. Nothing's ever really lost. If you've got a gold mine and you've got villagers working and you've got an army in a game like Retold, when there's so much about controlling your army well to get wins in fights. Like you can bring those positions back. But yeah, unfortunately in that one. But let's look to the future here because we're going to be moving in onto a map Ghost Lake, and I'm excited here, Soup. Odin versus Hades on Ghost Lake. I think this map is Odin's. It's like Odin's Haven. I love this map for Odin. Absolutely. What do you think?
Yeah, it's good. There's a lot of hunt. He can grab himself a lot of goats. But I think it also depends a lot on what the map spawn is looking like. Because for Luki, when he's playing Hades, if he gets a really good second TC with a gold nearby, which is not uncommon on Ghost Lake, I think Odin can have a hard time really punishing that. And obviously, this being Ghost Lake, the mid is wide open. This means that the mobility of the raiding cavalry, they will be able to, just run around as they please. And yeah, Odin being Odin, he's got access to Njord in the heroic age, so there is definitely potential to punish a second TC grab from Looki. But yeah, Odin is good here. Odin is cool to play here, but
Yeah.
Looki definitely has a lot of options with Hades too.
Do you expect to see Looki going for a second town center though against Odin? Do you not expect maybe like either Bull Minotaur or maybe even Ares here?
I think if the map is good, he'll go for it.
Yeah, like a one gold mine Ghost Lake, you might see the one town center angle, maybe the two
Yeah.
gold mine Ghost Lake with a nice gold mine out behind the town center. Maybe he goes for that. But and the thing that I like here from we've already talked about it. I keep on hyping up about it because I just want to see people doing it because I think it's really, really fun. Is if you get aggressive animals to start off, which you get from Ghost Lake, you get the boars. All of a sudden, you get access to two really strong strategies. Either one, you can rush out Heimdall and get Safeguard or Rigstaller immediately, which is kind of crazy. Or two, you can get out the extra Valkyrie and go and raid your opponent. So, like, if you go for there are 345 builds that are pretty easy to execute. Drop a forward temple. All of a sudden, there's two Valkyries inside of the Hades base running around causing problems for while he's going for his late advance with Vault of Erebus, and you can find all the value you need to either equalize or find an advantage there. But both options seem like they could be good depending on what the map is going to give TheRapl, and I'm sure he's got these sort of things on lock.
Yeah. So actually, you know, I often say that one of the most, I don't know, abusive things, one of the strategies that's so difficult to actually deal with, that you can get so frustrated playing against it. It's when you're playing Odin versus Bull Minotaurs, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
With Odin, you've got access to Caesarumnia from Freya, giving them plus 20% HP. That's all well and good, but it's not going to help them in chasing those 5.4 speed Minotaurs around.
No.
So thinking back to it, I do think maybe that's what we're going to see here. Looki going for something like 5 villagers in prayer duty, and then TheRapl seeing if you can find a way to counter it.
I guess the answer to it is the Valkyrie, because they've got the speed, they've got the healing. You can get a good amount of numbers of them. Like, so if you got 2 Valkyries straight away, 1 Minotaur, 2 Minotaur, you cash them out. I guess that's your best option while having Hersa in your base kind of defending. It is very, very difficult though.
And you're Norse, like favor, you cannot just say, all right, I'll put 7 villagers on my temple. You cannot do that with Norse.
No.
You're forced to either fight or you're forced to build extremely expensive hearses in order to get that favor in. And if you overcommit on hearses, say that you build 15 of them, then Luki's just going to say, that's perfect. I'll build hoplites and Toxotes and I'm going to sit in your second gold mine.
Yeah, well, there's so many different angles. Like the game is really, really deep. And I mean, even after you put all of that stuff aside, you still have got, and I know you like this strat, you've still got Cyclops Toxotes against Greek. So not Greek, against Norse. That can be scary. Like if you don't read it, or even if you do read it, you still have to play the defense like literally perfectly, or all of a sudden the Cyclops picks up a dwarf and you lose your entire gold mine.
It's so brutal. And I don't think Odin has got a big answer to that either. It's like the myth units. If there's one thing that Odin struggles at, it's dealing with myth unit spawns and archer spam as well. And if there's one thing that Hades is good at, it's myth unit spam and archer spam. Yeah. So, on paper, Hades is such a good fit against Odin. But then the issue is, we're playing Ghost Lake. Odin is really good at raiding, so there's also the potential that if Looki looks away for a second, if he doesn't defend his base properly, there's a very high chance that TheRapl is going to get some really good raids off. And once you start to lose villagers here and there as Hades, things can quickly fall apart playing against Odin.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like, TheRapl, I know how insanely good he is with this god. He's got the control down. He's got the vision ability with those ravens as well. And he can realistically play around almost anything. I've seen him winning matchups that I thought were like 70-30. And I'm like, actually, you know what? Maybe this is closer to 50-50 if you just play really good. So Luke is going to have his work cut out for him regardless moving into this second game. But I know Luki's been working hard and he has a whole bunch of strategies in his back pocket. We're going to be jumping into game number 2 right now. Looki versus TheRapl, Odin versus Hades. Here we go.
You're already sad now, aren't you, Boyd? We see this Auric being lured on the town center, and how much favor does TheRapl have? Only 1, so it's not going to be a fast second Valk.
You can still get it. What is this? Well, you got 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then you kill off 2 goats.
Well, I'm just saying, TheRapl obviously not caring about it. He's not going for it.
No. I'm not gonna. I don't want to harp on about it. I'm just excited about it. That's all.
What are we looking
So
at? One or two gold? It's two gold mines. Once again, it's two gold mines on Ghost Lake.
yeah, and there is an amazing second town center for the not for the Rapple, but for Looki on the east side of the map. There's
Yeah.
two gold mines behind it. There's Hunt behind it,
Oh, that one.
and yeah, this one right here. There's also one on the there's one on the west side as well. To be honest, there's good town centers everywhere. Take your pick. And we did see yesterday in a game of Chemo versus Grassing Groom where Chemo was a slightly different matchup, Thor versus Hades, but Chemo was able to just sit there and just could hold everything that was getting thrown at him. Rappel's a different beast. You can go for a different style of Norse, but you still got to be worried about that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just sitting here thinking about what is Looki gonna do. And you mentioned like the east side town center. I think it's much too exposed. The walk time over there, and once you get there, you have to build the town center versus an Odin. I think it's much too dangerous. And what's more is he's playing Hades. He's got Vaults of Erebus with 6,000 gold in his home base. Honestly, he doesn't care about the gold mine situation. He's got everything he needs in terms of
That's
gold
true.
inside of
That's
his
true.
base.
He doesn't need a gold mine, so why not just go to the north side? There's two patches of Hunt there. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
I think that's going to be a tremendous town center to go for. And I don't really enjoy, I don't like the one TC play here. Even if he does the Minotaur spawn spam, I don't think that's a good approach. So I hope to see a two TC play from both of these players, because that's just the right approach, I think, on a map like this.
It's interesting, like you say, like if it's not going to be Minotaur spam, and it's a little bit of metagaming. Is there ever a world here where Heimdall? I'm not going to say it. Not even going to bring it up. We're going to be seeing Freya here for the Rapple, and he is going to be playing some stock standard Odin for us.
Dude, Rebel does not like Heimdall. He's never been a fan. He loves his early Valkyrie, he loves his raiding, and he loves just the general utility that Freya brings you. So
Okay,
yeah.
here's another crazy idea. I mean, it's not crazy, but what if you just grab Dizablot straight away for the Valkyrie upgrade for Odin? Does that give you enough of an edge in the Minotaur Valkyrie fight early game at the very least?
Oh yeah, you're definitely gonna win 1v1. But then the issue becomes, okay, you just spent 10 favor on that upgrade. You're gonna need an additional 18 favor before you can get your second Valkyrie out. And
Yeah.
say that your initial Valkyrie gets down to 20% HP. You're not gonna be able to move that until you get a second Valkyrie. And then you need to heal it back up. And at that point, we're looking at something like 8 minutes into the game or so. Looki will be well established at that point.
Yeah, and look at this from Lukey. He's got it kind of looks to me like he is going one town center. He's got the resources for a second town center, but he's also got the resources for Labyrinth of Minos and extra
He's got
Minotaur. He's got
he's got
26 favor in the bank.
Yeah, he's three villages praying, four villages prayers, in fact. So it's a one TC play from Looki. Very peculiar decision, I think. But it might just be that he knows that Minotaur spam is ridiculously difficult to defend when you're playing as Odin. So he'll try to get that Minotaur value in, and says he doesn't need the second TC. He's going to sit on Vaults of Erebus, and that'll be perfectly fine for him.
So we've got it's confirmed. It's not some like weird. I'm gonna get a little bit of favor and not do anything with it sort of strategy. He is going for Minotaur spam. Rapple is moving his villagers out. He's got to
Yeah.
be a little bit careful here because even if he's got himself, say, let's just call it like 3 Hersa over there, you can dodge, dip, duck, dive, dip, and dodge and get in there and then beat those villagers up in a really big way. But Lukey does have to make stuff happen here now. He has invested into these Minotaur. He has to make damage occur. And Rapple's just walling up.
He's Rebel's walling up and he's producing Hersers. He's got 2 in queue right now, already 4 produced. So what that means is that he's building up an army that can sustain the Minotaur attack if there ever comes a big fight. Plus, he is just adding Hersers into the mix so that he continually produces favor, whether that's for Thundering Hooves, whether it's for additional Valkyries, or maybe even Ring Giver when he gets to the heroic age. Who knows? It's just so nice as Norse to be able to get all of these early Hersers out to start accumulating favor.
Yeah, and we were sort of talking about, well, you can't really put a whole bunch of villagers onto favor as Norse, but what you can do is you can build a whole bunch of Herso. It's not quite as much, but when you can get yourself the favor out, it's good. But
Look
the
at this!
Minotaur
Look at this!
charging through, big headbutt to come in. That's going to be a dwarf kill at the very least. He doesn't even care about the one Herso. They're going after another one.
Oh
Does
my
manage to
god!
snipe it. There's a huge amount of damage here. So meanwhile, in the main base of TheRapl, it looks of Looki, it looks like he is taking some damage though.
I think it was just the Valkyrie. You look at the village discrepancy, it's 2 in favor for Looki, plus he's got that Vault of Erebus. What this means, basically, 2 early dwarf kills like this in a matchup as clutch as this one, this is huge for Looki. It means that the pressure is no longer really on him. He's honestly already dealt enough damage for this Minotaur play to pay off.
I think
And
so too.
yeah,
These
this,
Minotaur,
this
they don't lose value as you've got them out. They're always going to be good. Like they're good in a fight. They're good to raid. They're good to kill buildings. Like take your pick. Maybe overbuilding them is a little bit dangerous because that allows the Norse player to overbuild Ursa, which is something that Norse players kind of want to. The more Ursa you get out, the more favor upgrades and myth units they can also build. So it is a bit of a fine line to tread. But I think Looki here going into Toxotes and getting out his human units as well, they'll be able to deal with those Herso beautifully.
Yeah, I think honestly at this stage, Looki should pull those 5 villages away from favor onto food. Because the
Yeah.
Minotaurs have found their value, and like you said, it's just pure hearses almost. I think the proper approach is to go hoplites, Toxotes against pure hearses, and those units are
Uh-huh.
simply better than hearses, so yeah.
Yeah, and then you take the fight and you take the Minotaur out of the fight and you say, "Bye bye, Herser, I see you here. Let me go and kill your villagers."
Yeah, exactly. And that's gonna force the rebel to either chase with those ridiculously slow hearses, or he's just gonna allow the raids to happen. Either way, he's screwed.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
we are seeing Njord pre-queued now. Rappel's base is very, very defensive. Realistically, he's going to be able to get this Njord in, but not going for Skadi means no Frost Giants, which is great to deal with those Minotaur. Great to deal with the potential restoration as well. Njord gives Yals, ring giver
yeah,
Yals to try and deal with those Minotaur. I don't
I think
even
that's
know
the
if
play.
they cut the mustard, to be honest. Like, you're just going to get more hoplites out.
I think it's the play nevertheless.
Yeah, okay.
What is this? Not much. There's a
Forest
forest fire. Where was it?
Yes.
Up there.
So,
Wait, it's
we
looking
get a
like it's
villager.
good.
He kills a villager. There you go.
He killed
He got a
2
villager.
even. He killed 2
Very rare to
villagers.
see that. Very rare to see that.
Forest Fire has been buffed recently. It used to be
Yeah.
ridiculously bad. It's still not an S tier god power by any means, but as you see right here, if you can get 2 vills without even doing much for it, that's a big win.
Really nice. The Njord is coming through. Watchtowers comes in as a little bit of a deterrent here. I don't think Luki's going to care about this. Like, Watchtowers don't do any damage to a Minotaur. They do a little bit, but very, very little damage to a Minotaur. He's going
Sure.
to take down this temple, and then all of a sudden, our Apple. Actually, never mind. I'll run away. Okay, I'm wrong. I was just going to keep
The
whacking.
issue for Looki is these 6 Minotaurs, they're really good, but he needs more of a regular army to fend off the Herser attacks. This is why I say he's overcommitted on favor. He's got 28 right now and 30 favor. He's just produced himself a 6th Minotaur, and he doesn't need all this. What he needs is Toxotes to target down the Hersers, and he needs hoplites to block the path of the Hersers.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if he could, it's difficult because he's got so many villages on favor. But he could also just pull back here when he sees the Njord, and try and get his own heroic age in to boost up his Minotaur power a little bit as well. And just get access to stuff like potentially Prodromus to kill off those Jarls or Paspists even if he needs to.
Rebel has got himself a really good base here. He's walled off with 2 small walls on the left side. He's got himself the temple, the house here, and that's honestly blocked off the majority of the Rebel space. And then obviously these walls over here. Walking Wood's used just for kind of raiding purposes.
It's always a nice little bit of damage here, but the army's in the main base, and Looki is hunting these trees down, and I
There'll
don't
be
think they're going to get
Minotaurs.
any value here.
Minotaurs nearby. This is
little bit of
Exactly.
he's sneaky. This raining cavalry's distracting. He's trying to hide him. He's trying to hide up to the top corner. Where is he? I don't know. He heals off one.
There's no way he gets to do this, is there? Maybe.
Mm,
Either way, this is funny.
no.
What
Yeah.
what Rebel is doing here. Wait, he gets away with it.
A classic. An absolute classic. This is vintage Age of Mythology.
Who would have thought he places his army in the upper corner, Looki? Who would have thought? No, but anyways, I want to say this is kind of interesting what Rebel does here. He basically says, I went north not for the god power, but for other things. And that other thing is mainly the ring giver upgrade.
Yeah, he's rushed that out. He's going to be spamming those. We do see Apollo pre-queued here for Looki, which will mean Underworld, which is very difficult to deal with for Norse, as we've already kind of said. But with those Jarls, all of a sudden, you don't have to care so much. You can sit on that Underworld with a powerful HP and have a great time. There is one problem here.
Bit of a blunder here from Rebel.
Yeah, throwing away some units. There is one problem here, is that if you overproduce in onto Jarls and your opponent sees that, then you can even Hades has got access to this unit. It might sound crazy, but you do have access to Prodromus, and they will kill off those Jarl in a fight.
Yeah. I don't think that's the call, though. If you went for Ares, I definitely see what you're saying. You would get that +1 divine damage on top of everything else with the Prodromus. But having access to Athena, you do get the Sarissa, and he's already invested so heavily into the military academies. I see no reason why he shouldn't just continue producing hoplites. And then adding pill tests to target down the throwing axemen and goaties. I think that's the play here.
Is it the case that I see some chatters here? Does the Minotaurs beat? Does the Minotaurs win against these Jarls?
The Jarls?
Surely not. I don't believe that for a second.
So Jarls aren't heroes, meaning Minotaurs don't get negative damage against them. And not only that, the Minotaur's special will work against the Jarls too. And the Ring Giver upgrade, while it is really good, what it does is it gives plus 20% HP, 15% HP, 20% HP to the Jarl, and 1 melee multiplier against Smith units. So it makes the Jarls better versus Minotaurs, but I think actually what people are saying, there's probably some truth in it that Jarls don't actually beat Minotaurs 1v1. But then if you add Goaty behind it, I think it becomes a different case where you actually are faring very well against it.
We see that Underworld is coming through. It's time for the big fight here. Looki says it's go time. Army to retreat back here. Looks like the Jarls aren't in position. Going to be trying to take out that hill fort, most likely, as he's charging for. There is going to be the restoration, but his Toxotes are firing against the hill fort here, Soup.
Yeah, and the Minotaurs are out of position over on the left. They were targeting down 2 Goaty. Looki is not fighting this battle optimally at all. Restoration is being used. Rebel is retreating while the resto is occurring. And oh my god, the units are looking like they're in favor for Looki.
It looks like TheRapl's army does in fact get somewhat disintegrated here, even underneath their hill fort and all those heroes. This Greek army from Looki is absolutely bonkers. TheRapl still trying to take the fight over here, as I mean, is it looking like he's able to catch back up? It's a double population advantage right now for Looki.
Are you seeing the issue with the Jarls here? Whenever I look at these Jarls, yes, they are on top of the Minotaurs, but then I look for half a second and they're headbutted away.
Yeah.
It's like constant. How many Minotaurs are there left? 7 still? Looki just takes it.
Wow, Looki, he has the game plan. He's had his idea. He goes, all right, we're going to get some raids in. We're going to sit in our base, get our army up, defend, and we're just going to hit that Underworld. I mean, I don't know about you, Soup, but I have this feeling that maybe the Skadi was the better call. You have Frost, that's able to counter out an Underworld and a Restoration potentially. Sure, you don't have access to the Jarls, but you get access to the Frost Giants. Plus, you're building all those heroes out anyway, so you're going to have that residual favor to come through. Look at the favor bank, 230 for TheRapl in the end here.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You've got to be thinking that's the way to go for Odin here, but
the Jarls didn't work out in the end. We clearly saw that the Minotaur count was just too big. And yeah, the headbutts, they were constant. So the Jarls not being actual heroes, meaning they do get headbutted away, I think that was the big deciding factor here.
Yeah,
And
for
poor Rebel,
sure.
he lost the two
Yeah,
dwarves early on. Bit of a
yeah,
blunder for him, obviously, but it just seemed like that was the snowballing effect. From that moment out, he was just falling behind in economy. There's walls of Erebus on top of that he has to consider, and it was too much for Rebel in the end.
yeah. It
Look
was
at this.
just it was just a executed game from Looki. Like getting those kills. Rappel was focused on the Valkyrie raiding Looki in that moment. That's why he got those kills. I think if Rappel wasn't busy there, like on the attack, he would have been ready on the defense.
Hmm.
If you don't, do you know what I mean? I think he
Yeah.
was just distracted. But yeah, this is the big fight here. And even when you're watching this, like you got throwing axemen. Are they attacking hoplites here? Or are they attacking minotaurs here? They're getting headbutted away. It's a tough fight to fight. You have to get the heroes to kill off the minotaurs. You got to get the throwing axemen onto the hoplites. You got to get the Jarls there as well to be killing off Toxotes. It seems like it's a messy fight, and the underworld misplaces Rappel's army. And when it comes down to it, Age Mythology a lot of the time is more about positioning than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. A Frost in that situation would have definitely helped out Rebel so much. He could have destroyed the underworld while the Frost was there, and he could have really positioned his army
Yeah.
exactly where he wanted them to be. His heroes on top of the Minotaurs, his raiding cavalry insofar as he had any on top of the archers, and then it would have been a different game. Still not sure if it would have been enough for Rebel, but Frost would have been very nice there.
Yeah, well, can't ponder on it for too long here because we're going to be moving on to another game. This time we're seeing a similar matchup, but very, very different in the same breath. Loki versus Zeus on Oasis.
Did you see?
What's different about it?
Well, you
I have seen,
saw.
yes. Yes, I did.
You saw Mister playing yesterday versus Tunison, right? Wasn't that the matchup?
Yep,
No.
I did. I
Was
did.
yeah.
Yep.
And it just Mister made it look so easy. He did absolutely nothing out of the ordinary, and
No.
he just hit heroic age, and he was there with restoration plus bronze to counter the flaming weapons, and then he won the game.
Yeah, basically the game plan I actually think for the Loki in that situation is click flaming weapons and then run. Get the restoration, get the bronze, and then run because you're not winning that fight, right?
Yeah.
But if you can get the god powers out in a position where it's not bad for you, then you've got something to go for, something to work with, so to speak. Yeah, the one thing that I did find interesting was, Mister went for a couple of minotaurs, so the idea of with which Looki went last game against Odin does have a lot of threat in this game as well against Loki. So he can just do the same strategy to some degree, and try and make it work.
One thing to notice is that it's Oasis, though, and Oasis
Yes.
can have such different spawns. The one we're seeing in the graphics right here is a 4-forest Oasis. Generally tends to be quite open, and you can get a lot of raids off, and the town centers will provide you a lot of value oftentimes. But another spawn is a 1-forest Oasis, and when you have that, you can almost guarantee that neither player will want to go super aggressive because you always have the option to just swap sides whenever you want to, and you'll have ample amount of resources on both sides of the forest.
Yeah, and
So
it's also really good for that retreat move. Like if someone wants to hit a bronze on one side of the map, no worries. They just say, have that side. I got the other side of the map. I'll just go over there. So there's not nothing really. There's not really that big of a problem there. Now, I want to give shout out to one of the Loki one tricks on the ladder. Did try his luck in the tournament. It didn't quite get through. Gaboo. He's been showing that there is some really, really strong potential with Nidhogg in this matchup and against Greek in general, playing for more of a sit in your main base, get yourself sneak as many resources as you can, get to the Mythic Age, drop that Nidhogg down, and just erase a Greek army of Toxotes. What do you think about that?
Yeah,
If this is a very defensive one.
I've been caught on the wrong end of that strategy versus Gabu. And it's so brutal because you feel like you're in the driver's seat against the Loki player. You're winning
Yep.
all the skirmishes. You feel like you've got the map control, but then all of a sudden, the Hell power spike with the Nidhogg, with the Fire Giants, and the Hearses, which are now in Mythic Age, with the Mythic Age stats, as well as the Mythic Age Myth unit spawns. It's so brutal. And if you're not prepared for it, which you can easily be ill prepared for, yeah, you're gonna be run over basically. So I think that's definitely something to consider for TheRapl here playing as Loki. Have that Hell option available. Big power spike.
Yeah. Suffice it to say, you don't need to win this game with a one foul swoop, one huge attack. You don't have to win it like that. You can win it with some nice skirmishes, going in with the Nidhogg and all that other stuff, and just delaying. And there are angles here for the quote unquote, I wouldn't say the late game, but the early Mythic Age.
Yeah, I think when we see what the map spawn is looking like, I think we'll be wiser as to how this game is going to go. We could even see Looki going for some form of Minotaur spam like we saw last game. Loki, obviously, better position than Odin because just building hearses makes a bit more sense when you're playing as Loki. You can get Hall of Thanes. You have that innate myth unit spawn bonus. So you definitely don't want to overcommit on Minotaurs, but still, they just get so much value versus Norse.
Yeah. Oh, it's all about the Oasis spawn. You know, like 4 trees, 2 trees, 1 or Oasis, 2 Oasis, 1 Oasis. As to how defensive or how aggressive the map plays.
Yeah.
We know that there's not that much food on the map, but there are a lot of herdables. Do you have to go for a double berserk here as Loki? Is that probably your best move?
I never do it. I think it's too much because it takes 9 seconds to train the berserk. And honestly, goats, yeah, they're good. On a map like Ghost League, maybe I should consider doing it. But Oasis, nah, I don't think so. There is the giraffe pack. There's still monkeys to be hunted. There's berries. You got a chicken berries in your base still. So, nah, I don't do it.
I guess the final question is: do you ever go 2 town centers here with Zeus?
Yeah, I think for the right spawn, I think that's the right call.
Yeah, well, I guess we're going to be finding out as we're going to be going into game number 3. Looki bounces back, leveling the series. We'll see if TheRapl can compose himself and find another dub here. As on the right-hand corner, we've got TheRapl as the blue Loki. And on the left-hand side of the map, we have Looki as the red Zeus. Gonna get confused about that all game, but
Oh my
it is
God.
what it is.
I was about to say, this is going to be difficult. Really like the spy here from TheRapl. First thing he does with his berserk is move over on top of the gold mine just to have that spy continuously spying basically on Loki's home base. Maybe we should call him Zeus. Zeus versus Loki. I think that's easier.
I think so. But yeah, this is interesting because I don't know exactly where he sent the berserk, but I think he showed Looki exactly what he spied. You run into,
Yeah.
you don't get to actually see it, but you can guess, right? Like this is a berserk that comes into your base, sees some gold villages, and then leaves. He spied your villager, like which then means Looki has got some trickery that he can play in this game. Keep the buildings outside, or keep the buildings outside of that spy that he doesn't want to show to TheRapl, and maybe put a building inside of that spy that he does want to show to TheRapl. Like this sounds crazy, but build a stable as Zeus, and then maybe there's some herdmen that pop out, and then you've got all the hoplites and toxotes that win for just the sacrifice of say like 120-ish.
It's some next
resources.
level mind games you're making here. I like it. I think the more standard play, if you really want to utilize knowing that the spy is on either of those 2 vills, I think the more standard play is to just when you got the gold for it, pull both those gold miners back and build a temple way in the back of the base, and then put the other villager on top of the wood line, and then that spy is going to provide very minimal value.
Yeah. It's good idea, but we'll see as Looki drops the temple down a little bit. I I get the positioning. He doesn't want to have any sort of angle for RAPL to kill any of his buildings. But when you're playing on Oasis, one important thing is to be thinking about how you're going to lock parts of the map off. So you see this from RAPL. Forward Temple, he's going to be able to build either some houses, a longhouse, or a wall here. And he completely cuts off the middle portion and the bottom portion of the map. So yeah, this is really smart from RAPL. Looki's going to be able to do the same thing with the wall as well, but you just want to be trying to make as little investment as you possibly can. But I like both options here. Looki playing defensive and RAPL playing like economically focused. But you do have to make sure you're going to get these sorts of defenses placed up on this map for the most chances to win a game.
Yeah. What is it? Only 3 dwarfs for RAPL? That's actually a bit unorthodox. I think the standard play is to go 4. But if he's, I think maybe what this could suggest is that he's gonna go very heavy on hearses. So hearses only cost 40 gold and 80 food. So RAPL having 8 villagers and food, only 3 on gold. I think to me this suggests that he's gonna maybe try some sort of Gaboo strategy here, where he's gonna go like 10, 15 hearses, maybe even more, and just take it from there.
I've heard people saying, I wish we had the whole of Thane's Hersa back. They didn't go anywhere. It's still possible to do this strat. And you're right. I wouldn't be surprised to see RAPL go straight into it. It's great. You can make Hersa, you can make Troll, you can hold your position nicely with that. I mean, if your opponent's going to go for a big attack, you can pull out of that sort of Hersa spammage and go into Throw an Axeman. And we're going to be seeing that for RAPL as he does scout with his spy what's coming for him. But yeah, we're not seeing the Minotaur from Looki, which I think RAPL is going to take a short sigh of relief there, because I know RAPL practices against the Mister. He's probably seen Mister going Minotaur against him, and he knows how much pain comes from really well controlled Minotaur raids.
You're talking about Minotaur spam strategy, or
just an early labyrinth of Minos and just locking you in your base.
Yeah. So this is it feels so counterintuitive that you see RAPL is going full hearses and he should be fearing Minotaur spam. But there is truth in it, because you see that if Looki actually did go for the early labyrinth of Minos, surely he could have gone a really good special attack over onto this location, and then after that was gone, he could still continually raid on 3 sides of this base. So
yeah. And now the thing is you have to wait for, or be aware of more so, is if you're not going to go for this Minotaur idea and you're just going to be building human units, all of a sudden the Looki player, or RAPL in this situation, is going to have all the advantage early on. So you actually can't push out and you can't go for these early attacks against Norse, because he's going to catch your army out, and life's going to be really tough. We saw this Mr. versus El Matador, another sort of Zeus Looki situation where El Matador went for an early attack and Mr. just sort of said, hello, I will kill all your units and I will take the game and run away with it. So you have to play a little bit more for the mid game with the stronger army and restoration.
Well, for now, RAPL is deciding to go for just 4 hearses, and he's getting a kill on the Katascopus, even a Toxote here. Hoplites taking down those raiding cavalry, but they're all managing to escape. And yeah, a bit of a mirror here. Both players just deciding to place their armies on top of this outside hunt and saying, yeah, exactly what you just said. You're pretty much forced to play the defensive game early on. And then we'll see, as we approach maybe the time when either player will go for a second TC or potentially a heroic age, that's probably when either of these players are going to make an actual move.
Yeah, well, I love the defensive play from Looki for the moment here. He will have, I guess the move here might be, do you ever go Underworld here as Zeus?
Yeah.
Like, there's not like a strict bronze timing you can hit where you just win the game. So an Underworld, hit a position, force out of Fleming weapons, run away, and then you've got the really powerful Apollo techs like Temple of Healing. You've got Manticore to get into your army and all that nice stuff.
I love Apollo on Oasis. This is a big map, as you can see.
Yeah.
And what you want to do against Norse is you want to hit your power spike around the 10, 11-minute mark. That's usually when the Norse player will go for their secondary gold. If you hit your power spike then, with the underworld ready and available, you use it then and there as the Norse player is approaching that second gold mine. And usually you'll kill at least maybe 2, maybe 3 villagers, sometimes even more. And you're going to force so much time where those dwarves have not been getting gold. And this is going to set the Norse player behind by a lot. And not only that, when they get to the heroic age, you've got an escape route for flaming weapons. And all in all, this will just accumulate advantages in for you. And yeah, you don't have the bronze, but then you play a bit more a strategic game rather than just hammering your army into your opponent's face type of game.
Yeah. I mean, there's one interesting idea here now. Because RAPL hasn't gone for Ursa, this does actually unlock Looki spending favor on myth units.
Yeah,
So you could go for like delayed Labyrinth of Minos here.
that would be
Maybe
good.
not even go for it right now, but like get the Minotaurs out and then have the timing on Labyrinth of Minos later when he needs to take a fight, and all of a sudden RAPL could get very much caught out. Because while he sees in the main base with the spy, you might not notice Minotaur getting trained into a temple because there are relics in there.
Yeah,
So
good point.
there's some angles for trickery here.
It's
Definitely at
Apollo.
this top level. Yeah, Apollo is going to be. I like Apollo. I think Apollo is right here. I think Apollo is a good idea.
I think Luke is playing it pretty well so far. Nothing much to say. I do wish he had 1 or even 2 villagers on prayer duty right now. You're playing a Zeus.
Yeah.
You got that innate favor gather bonus. I think you ought to use it. And just like you said, myth units are actually really high value here. Against 4 Hearses, I think you should definitely get some Manticores, Minotaurs, whatever it is. You should start to produce them. He's on 0 favor right now. Won't even have favor for his Odysseus.
Yeah, and you absolutely need those heroes when you're playing against Loki. All those myth unit spams come through, spawns come through, excuse me, and the myth unit spam as well. But you need those heroes, otherwise life gets very, very tricky very, very quickly. But I do like that he is getting that the unique tech for Zeus. People kind of say it's not that great, but realistically, getting your heroes back into the action is super, super useful. Olympic Olympic parentage, I think is what it's called. And it
Yes.
cuts the training time in half, I believe.
Yeah, and gives extra HP too.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good upgrade. It's nothing that you build a strategy around. I think that's maybe why people tend to forget about it. It's just something that's really useful around this time in the game. And then, yeah, it's about the time when people have other things in mind. So they tend to forget about that upgrade. But when you have it, it's super useful.
And at this point, neither player has really found any sort
Pegasus?
of advantage. We're going to be seeing a potential underworld to come through here from Looki. I don't know if he should go for it at this exact moment. If he's going to spot the army back there, as a Zeus player, as the Greek player, I say thank you very much. Please sit in your base and let me just take more of the map. But he's going to click the underworld. We're going to see a repeat of what we saw last game here. He's trying to force out the flaming weapons. There it goes.
Fine.
And Looki says, bye-bye. I'm going to take my restoration. I'm going to take my bolt. And you've got no flaming weapons.
And Rebel was really well prepared for this. He kind of knew that this was a game plan, and Rebel just says, "All right, I know that the best case scenario for me is that I don't lose any villagers, I don't lose any military units. I just trade flaming weapons for Underworld." Rebel's going to be happy about that, and that's kind of the sad state of Bragi these days. Flaming weapons used to be like the god power that you would use to win the game. But these days, especially in the Greek matchup, probably you don't really use it as your game-winning ticket anymore. You got to find other ways to squeeze in a victory.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to now see RAPL. He's going to be pushing out now. He has to sort of force a defensive restoration.
Good.
This is what he wants here. If he
This is good.
Great little find here as the hoplites kind of getting caught out. The Battleball kind of helping them there a little bit.
Yeah, the Battleball was trolling there for sure.
We see Looki trying to get his town center up. This is going to get spotted almost immediately, it looks like, for the RAPL.
But this is
No
the kind of play.
force, yeah.
This is the kind of play you can make as a Greek player versus a Norse who no longer has flaming weapons available. What will usually happen if you go for a 2 TC boom and you don't have an answer up your sleeve against the flaming weapons, is the North is just going to accumulate a big army. They're going to press that third age god power, and then they're going to steamroll you. Well, that's no longer an option for Rebel, so Looki finds it just fine to go for a 2 TC boom at this stage.
Yeah, and now I guess the spicy part of this matchup is starting to come through. What normally happens with Norse is the trouble for every Norse player to deal with is, how do I beat counter infantry? And specifically, how do I beat Hypaspist, or in the Egyptian case, Axeman? Luke is going to be able to build the Hypaspist. He's going to be able to build Peltast as well. He's got the hoplites in. Getting a good unit composition out is not simple here for the TheRapl. Oftentimes, you have to sort of lean back on myth units to actually break through that human unit army.
Yep.
I guess. But we are going to be seeing some mythic ages coming through after this as well, right?
Rebel is pre-queuing tier, which is interesting. So it's not going to be the hell angle we were discussing earlier.
I'm a bit surprised to see that. In a way, Looki's base is really defensive, but I mean, maybe what TheRapl wants here is just get economic damage done to counter the lightning storm. We can rebuild his army, and then maybe try and just get full map control 4 town centers to 2, and then try and take the advantage from there.
Yeah, could be. Well, also keep in mind he's gone for Seti Bragi, so his Berserks will be super good, as well as his Hoskals.
Huge fight coming in right now. Looki needs to use the Restoration now. There he goes to drop it down. He has waited a very long time on that one as the raiding cavalry is getting pulled back. Huge spawn there. That's like a mini flaming weapons for the fight as the Thrown Axeman slightly getting pulled back. Toxotes going after them as well. The army numbers here yet again for TheRapl are looking like they are falling here soon.
Yep, it is Looki taking the victory. Look at the Toxotes mess. Look at the Peltast on top of it. So many ranged units, and Rebel didn't manage to get his melee units on top of that. And what then happens as Norse player is your units will just start to dwindle faster than your opponents.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Greek army. It's so powerful. It's a tough thing to crack. The advantage of the Norse is normally, economy. They've got those dwarves. They've got and myth units as well. But now the fight has happened. TheRapl gets some favor in the bank, and he's going to go in for those trolls. And all of a sudden, he will have a hefty amount of myth units to play with.
Interesting. And I did notice in that prior fight, Odysseus wasn't out, but Looki is getting himself favor now. So, like you said, trolls coming in. It's extremely important for Looki that he adds in Odysseus to the mix here. Only 3 trolls queued up for Rebel. If Looki can get 3 heroes out, it should be no problem for him, honestly.
Yeah, the thing is right now is like the question right for Looki is he's got this Hera queued up. You can take a risk here, pull back into your main base and just say have the map for a little bit. I'll go Mythic Age, but it seems like TheRapl's able to chase that and be completely fine. So to get to maximize the sort of advantage which Looki's got right now, it seems like he's got to mass up an army and actually attack. He does have the Zeus hoplites. He does have the ability to bash through a position easily.
Well, look on the left side of the map.
Yeah,
It does. Rebel's built in. Yeah, that's such it's kind of a gift for Looki almost. I don't even know if he realizes this settlement is there. If you look at it from Looki's perspective, does he even know that this town center is up? No, he doesn't.
He has to know that there's a town center somewhere. It's either going to be on the bottom or it's got to be somewhere, right? But right now, I guess the next difficult thing here, as TheRapl is trying to engage.
Yeah, Rebel's
got restoration
got
for this fight. It's a great little position here, but a great defensive chokehold to some degree for Looki.
And this time around, Rebel's got a lot more raiding cavalry. They do seem to fall still, though. And there's trolls
the
in the
micro
back.
from TheRapl with those hoplites getting pulled out of the fight there in a big way, but still, yet again, you're right. This archer army is just so powerful here.
Looki placed him. They're powerful, but Looki also placed his units really, really well there.
Yeah.
Even though Rebel had that raiding cavalry army, he wasn't able to get on top of them. And that's always the issue with that Norse army against archer spam. From the moment Retold was out, those raiding cavalry has just seemed subpar against archer spam. And it's only in recent months that people have actually realized, yo, we should build Hoskals. Huskarls are
Yeah,
actually good. They fill out the position that raiding cavalry can't. But
exactly.
Rebel not quite on top of it just yet. He's invested into heavy cavalry instead and
Yeah,
haven't really had the resources for a hill fort.
that's right. Well, we will be seeing the tier coming through for TheRapl. He's cut military units here, and this has allowed Luki's military resource advantage to balloon into his favor. So we'll we'll see if this Fimbulwinter is going to be enough. But Luki's army can come and get some value right now.
Yeah, and interesting to notice, Lugi's got 106 favor at the moment. Big raid occurring here. Sucks for Rebel. He really needs as many villagers out as he can. He's already invested so much getting to the Mythic Age. Losing these villagers on top of it all means that he's gonna rely heavily on getting a good Fimbulwinter off here.
Yeah. Now we see the Hera to come through as well will mean if TheRapl doesn't split his army up into many different corners of this map, there's going to be a lot of dead Norse units to come. There's going to be a Bellerophon to come through as well, which will be able to deal with all these trolls. And all of a sudden, this army of Looki is looking more and more powerful and more like it's just going to get a huge amount of value moving forward. But what Rappel's doing, I like. He's grabbing this middle town center for the time being. Like, if he gets full map control, maybe he's going to be completely fine here.
Yeah, it's really good, and he's getting some nice value here. The troll special attacks dealing a lot of damage to the hoplite maze. All in all, maybe not even the best trade for Rebel in the end, simply because of how good these hoplites are versus RC. But we're nearing the point now where tier is incoming. We've got champion infantry, champion cavalry queued up for Rebel as well.
Yeah, there is going to be some favor in the back. There's 13 villages on favor for Looki. He's got restoration. He's got a bolt if he wants to use it. Fimbulwinter comes through, but he can also wait for Underworld as the town bell gets clicked and the villagers will make it to safety. It's like not many are going to go down, so it's just going to be idle time caused here. And idle time, while it does hurt, doesn't really do anything if your opponent is not also getting attacked somewhere, isn't losing stuff.
Yeah, so true.
Luki's going to be completely fine here, I think. He's got the Lightning Storm to get those resources, technical resources back. And yeah, the position, while it looks good for TheRapl right now, it's not going to be a huge deal so long as Looki gets a good Lightning Storm off.
What do you think of the champion cavalry here? Is that even needed for Rebel? Because I'm thinking, dude, these cavalry are just not cutting it, as we've seen in fight and fight again. The raiding cavalry not quite doing their job.
You need the cavalry angle for when the Hypaspists come through. So you don't have to rush it out, but when the Hypaspists are in, that's when you really need those cavalry. You're absolutely right. The Huskar are so important as the army here to run through for TheRapl. There's the Lightning Storm to come through. He's immediately going to be pulling back. The question is, will this value come through? Did he click the Lightning Storm in the right spot?
Oh my god.
There's the damage.
Could have been a lot worse for Rebel. I don't know. Did he lose villagers? He's on 81, 83 villagers at the moment. He may have lost some in that Lightning Storm.
I think Looki might be being a little bit too over aggressive here. He doesn't really need to act now. He needs to get himself Bellerophon, his upgrades through, and potentially be looking for an Underworld play. Or he's got the restoration though, so that is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big Rebel army still though. Rebels in 202 population, 204 for Looki. So restoration is in there. Rebel has to respect that, I think. Yeah.
All the units back up to full HP, and champion infantry is in now as those hoplites are right on top of a whole bunch of raiding cavalry. And following this, those Peltas, the Toxotes with good micro take out all of those thrown axemen here. But the army number is very close. Looki is missing that Bellerophon in this fight.
Oh my god.
He's got 3 of them, but they need to be on the myth unit.
The Bellerophon would be so big here. Luki's doing a tremendous job of microing his spell test on top of the Axemen, throwing Axemen, but dude, one Bellerophon would have made such a big difference in this fight.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to retreat back now. He hasn't managed to kill the town center. There is a wall here. It is getting broken down, so the retreat angle is in. There will be another restoration to come through.
Is it gold? Is it gold
star?
Yeah, I think so. These villagers are so out of position here. It's got this gold mine with 2,000 left in it, but what does Looki do after that? Maybe that's the Underworld play on top or something, but Rebel's on the case.
Yeah,
I,
underworld up to the top gold mine to get yourself the next gold mine. Like realistically here, I don't know if I mind being 2 town centers versus 4 town centers with a restoration in pocket. So you got to get up to, I oh god, 320 favor to get up to
oh
the
yeah,
top. But I
for
think
Underworld
Looki
and
really,
Resto.
I think Looki really threw that position there, fighting underneath the town center without having that Bellerophon, without having the heroes onto the myth units at the very least. And TheRapl has now found himself an advantage in this game.
Dude, Lugi's only at 170 population, so and he still doesn't have that Bellerophon out, and he can afford him. He's just not out.
Yeah, and now there's a fire giant. There's a lot of pain to come
Exactly.
forward here.
So many throwing axemen here, and even though the peltests are there, it does require so much micro to target the throwing axemen down. There's so much damage still on top of Luki here, and he's not able to really attack back. Bellerophon
Now
finally being
Bellerophon queued there.
produced.
He's
Yes,
queued up,
yes.
and this is scary for Rappel's army. Rappel's at 231 population though. That's the more scary part. Like, where is Bellerophon not coming out of the main town center? He is somewhere else. He's not quite here. We do see the Heracles able to jump onto the fire giant, but gets taken down. It's there. Bellerophon comes as. Is it too little too late though? All the myth units are gone. And Rappel here has to pull back out. Where to next? There is still that underworld angle. Can go over to the top position, can go down to the bottom position, try and kill off a town center hero there and grab a gold mine. He's got his Pegasus out, going to be searching. Does he
It's a
want
bit
to
of
use it though? Because he wants a restoration as well. So maybe just walking over there is the simple play.
Yeah, I think if I'm looking at things from Luke's perspective now, it's a bit rough for him because there's two things he needs. He needs to secure himself a new gold mine, and he needs to secure himself, well, pretty soon. I don't think he can sit 2 versus 4 towns in it for too long. So he needs to have that in mind as well. And I'm wondering, how does he get to that stage where he secures himself a gold and he starts pressuring one of Rebel's town centers?
The villagers are coming up here. They will be seeing a
Oh,
hill
and
fort. He could. He's not going to notice it, and he's going to have those villagers starting to get into trouble here. Looki can just walk over there. He does not need to underworld, but he's going to, as he does see a whole bunch of villagers here. This will be a nice little gold mine that he can take for himself.
It's a really good use of Underworld, I think. He's killing 2, 3, 4, 5 dwarves, and he's securing himself a very nice gold mine in the process. Now he's forced to return to the original position to defend against the big rebel army here. This is 260 Loki population with myth unit spawns incoming on top of everything else.
And it looks like Bellerophon did actually fall pretty quickly at the start there, so no heroes left. The Peltas doing their best to try and take out the throw and axe, and they're doing a good job of it, but the front line is slowly falling here, and Rappel is staying at a solid 240 population behind all of this. It looks like Looki is going to be falling in this game. And Rappel will be moving up to 2-1 in this best of 5 series.
Interesting game here. I wonder where Luki went wrong. Was it that town center attack around
Yeah.
the time after the Fimble Winter that just didn't really pan out like Luki wanted it to?
I don't think there was any real reason to force the fight. Like, he could have gone for an underworld lightning storm idea as well, and trying to just secure gold. That has to be your idea here with Zeus. You're never in a similar vein to what Norse against Egyptian is, where you don't really, when you win a fight, you're not really looking to just stamp down on the Egyptian player and kill them in that one breath. When you're playing Greek versus Norse, and you win one fight with Greek, it's not about ending the game there. It's about getting yourself the next position and playing for the next fight and things like that. Lukey didn't have the economy to make a big trade. His Lightning Storm didn't quite get the value that I think he was hoping for. And while he has the units killed here, he didn't have the position on the map and he couldn't quite convert. But props where props are due. Rappel played a really, really nice game of Loki there.
Yeah, certainly. Very, very slow start. We see the first highlight of the game 11 minutes into the game. This is where we see the Underworld cast, and Rebel reacts. He's got his army nearby. He knew exactly what was coming, and he's just saying, all right, we're trading god powers. You're using Underworld. I'm using flaming weapons. We call it a
This
draw.
was great. That was a great little little sequence there from Lukey. TheRapl doesn't really have another option there. He has to make that trade.
Yeah. And this is yeah, this was Looki running around with hoplites and kind of getting caught. He did that a few times this game, and we see here he's losing like 5, 6, 7 of hoplites. Here's Looki winning one fight, but Rebel sending RC reinforcements. Is that where we see the restoration? I think it is.
Yeah, this fight here was quite good. Got those peltasts on the back line. Toxotes there as well. Rapple does kind of pull back. I think he probably should have pulled back much earlier than he did here. But even so, like the fight continues, and it's still kind of a pretty close fight after all is said and done here. You know, like you see the army numbers going down for both players, but Rapple pulls back with, half of his army intact. It's not like he didn't really fully lose this fight. Looki didn't fully win it, but he got it in Luki's favor there. Next fight here, this one was definitely a good fight for Looki. This is where he found his biggest advantage in this game.
Look at the big Archibald that's just centered in like such a small area. It's a bit of a shame for Rebel. He didn't use the troll special right there. I think that could have
Yeah,
made such a big difference
that
there.
could have been huge. And the other thing, I guess the other thing here is just making life just a little bit harder for Looki is he's not getting onto those trolls with his heroes. Easier said than done, but he needs to have those. But yet
Yeah,
again, like that fight, while it did go in favor of Looki, it wasn't like an all-out win there. There was not like a full big one fight. Huge raid on those villages was huge. This is another big advantage for Looki. But so too, Rapple gets pressure all over the place. This is the big lightning storm, which couldn't quite get that value. Generally speaking, you want to drop the lightning storm at the very back of your line of sight where your opponent's most likely going to retreat so you can get all the kills. But even then, kind of looks like it didn't really do that much.
these are champion units with a lightning storm. Is that divine damage or not? Do you know?
It is divine damage, yeah.
Ah, okay. Either way, they are high HP units, so the
Yeah, they
lightning
are
storm
heavy,
will
yeah.
find it more difficult to find value when they're so high HP.
And I think a lot of those bolts actually did hit the myth unit, so they're just innately
Mm,
high HP. So
yeah.
yeah, you're not gonna be able to take too many of those out. And then I
This
guess
is
this final fight here, this is where I think Looki was in a fantastic spot before he decided to do this. Sort of fighting underneath the town center, not having that economy to come through after the Fimble Winter. You have to still wait like 20 seconds, 25 seconds for the villagers to kind of get that load going for your income to actually start again. Got to wait a little bit longer on it, unfortunately, for Looki and Rapple does pounce. You make one mistake against a player of Rapple's caliber, and he's going to be able to punish you.
Yeah, and this is such a brutal composition he's made for himself here. It's like 80% throwing X-Men. He's adding Goldie and just a small bit of front line. And then he's got Trolls, Fire Giants in the back. Looky found this really, really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I guess finally on this specific fight here, the Bellerophon came out, but it came out from the back town center or the fortress. He needed it in this fight. He needed it in the fight like 5 minutes ago, to be honest.
I think that's insofar as Looky made any big mistakes this game, he didn't have the Odysseus out as soon as he had to, and he didn't have the Bellerophon out as soon as he had
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
This is really versus Loki, who's relying so heavily on myth units. It's so important that you always have your maximum amount of heroes out when you're playing Greek.
For sure. But looks like, and we're gonna see our next matchup, and this is an exciting one. This is one that I know you're gonna have a lot to say on. There was a moment in Retold history where this matchup, people were saying this is a 90-10 matchup before, going as far as saying unwinnable for Oranos. There has been some changes into for Atlantean in the recent patches. What are your thoughts on this one, Soup?
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like Thor, I remember a few Tony games actually where I played Thor versus Quoth Uranus, obviously one of the best Atlantean players in the game, and I almost felt dirty winning those games because it was just so easy. I just built Berserks and throwing X-Men and I won the
Yeah.
game. But we have Cairo Ballister that's got a significant round of buffs, I think over 2, 3, or 4 different rounds, I can't remember. Either way, Cairo Ballisters are so strong right now, to the point where if the Thor player builds pure infantry, I think he's just going to run into a brick wall, and he's not going to be able to deal with the Cairo Ballisters at all. And the strategy that you'll see Uranus players going for against Norse these days is to go for Prometheus, and you're going to have a composition consisting of Catapultes, Prometheans, and Chiroballister. And what Thor does to counter that, whether it's through Forseti or Freya, whether he's building pure infantry with hearses or if he's adding raiding cavalry, I don't even know. I don't even know. I've decided for myself, for my sake, I'm playing Atlantean in this matchup. I don't even want to bother playing Norse. To me, this seems so ridiculously difficult. So
There's another like tiny throwback to 3DB, a tiny tactic which was making actually this matchup somewhat playable for 3DB, but no one else apparently, which was Sky Passage, Cairo Ballister, Garrison Micro. Incredibly micro intensive, but all of a sudden he puts up a Sky Passage and you can't do anything. You're just like, I can't move there. They can't do anything there. So yeah, this is going to be very, very exciting. I do think that there is some angles here for Thor still. Like Pascal is still really, really good. The Caraballis's weakness is movement speed. If there's Caraballister in one spot, guess what? I'm in the other spot. I'm going to keep distracting you. I can go for Frost or Skadi. I can freeze them. I can get on top of them. I can get my units in the right spot. And then if I kill off the Caraballister, if I get them gone, then all of a sudden the Uranus army will crumble. So it's going to be a matchup of tactics, movement, positioning, and we'll see who's going to be able to come out on top. The map is Elysium, so really, really open.
I hope for Freya. I'll say that much. I really don't hope for Forseti because infantry versus Cairo. Nah.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes.
It's going to be tough. Yeah, we'll see. Looki's going to have his game plan on. I'm sure he knows what he's going to be going for. Game number 4 here, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be seeing Uranus in the bottom, or TheRapl, and at the top of the map in the red color, playing as Thor, is Looki, as we see the immediate Dwarven Armory.
Yeah, and good thing for Looki, he's got himself a very nice defensive protected gold mine here. So that's definitely one thing you're looking for when you're playing Norse versus this new iteration of Atlantean playstyle, is you want a nice and safe protected initial gold mine, because the Cairo Ballister with the 20 range can offer some serious threat to a poor, aggressive front gold mine.
Yeah. And the classic sending these Gazelle in underneath the town center. I'm actually kind of interested in. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm not interested anymore. I was going to say I was interested if Looki is going to manually kill off these deer with a villager, because while you lose out on probably a significant amount of food, you do get 2 favor per Gazelle kill with the villagers, and that can help you get to your starting upgrade.
I found like you could realistically you could conjure up a build order where you could kill the deer with villagers rather than the TC here, but it just takes so much effort, and there's so many things that can go wrong. And when you're herding, like, yeah, nah, just do it at the town center.
I like effort though. I got nothing else to do with a build order. Let me put some effort into something. But
Sure.
nonetheless, okay. What realistically here is going to be the big problem for Looki to get around on this map? You know, you've got back hunt, which is nice for Looki. You got the gold mine over here on the left, which is kind of close, but is very much out in the open. TheRapl, he's also got the same sort of map. What is Looki, and what does TheRapl as well have to sort of watch out for?
I do think TheRapl should probably try to actually defend his space with buildings, as we're sort of seeing him do here, so that he can maybe build one of those cheap walls and convert one of them into a gate, and you have a nice and protected base still. Because I do think Looki wants to go for some form of raiding at some point in this game, and just having those natural cheap barriers that you can make with buildings will definitely help out a ton. And other than that, I don't think TheRapl is looking out for things this game. I think he's looking for things to happen. I think the onus is on the Uranus player to make stuff happen, because Looki with the Thor pick has got such a big economy, and Uranus' economy isn't quite as good, but instead he's got the superior military, and he needs to utilize that to make something happen.
Yeah, and here we go. We're seeing something. Well, we are going to be seeing Oceanus for
What?
TheRapl. So he's doing something a little bit different. But Looki, he is going to be going for that Freya here.
Interesting. So these are like, I think it was given the fact that Looki is going for Freya. I don't even hate the Oceanus pick here at all. Oceanus gives access to weightless maze. You have the Caladria that can slow down the Valkyrie,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think Oceanus is a great counter to Freya. It's just so weird to see Revel
I
going
would,
for Oceanus.
I would, if I was, I'm thinking now about like metagaming, right?
Yeah.
Now that I see this, I'm thinking as the Thor player, I almost want to say I'm not going to click advance until I see what god you're going. Because if you go Oceanus, I want Forseti. If you go Prometheus, I want Freya.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And then the
And it's not
meta
even any
meta,
problem.
you know
Yeah.
what the meta gaming is then? As Uranus, you don't even advance. You just wait 5.5 minutes and then you click advance.
We did. You remember the what was the thing at Count's Castle? We're just talking about random stuff. Count's Castle company gives like the little special rules. It's like you're not allowed to advance
Oh
until your
yeah,
opponent advances.
true.
Oh, there's some fun times. You can have a lot of fun playing this game.
It is a fun game. We do love Age of We love this game, don't we, folks? What is it Mem always says?
That's right.
All right, Looki is in the classical age. He built himself a longhouse there, and we see Rebel with the military barracks. So Rebel is playing, I would say, the old meta with military barracks, with Oceanus, and even the sky passages. Just playing a slow Uranus game here, not really utilizing the buffed Kyra Ballistas. He's getting the Mamills and the Bite of the Shark. He's just playing the old meta basically.
I personally, I know people are gonna hate me. I don't even think this is that. I think this is fine right now. Because you've still got access to the Kari Ballista. If mass berserks do come, we just get out a couple of Kari Ballista, and we're still good to go here. And we can have the mobility, and we can have all of the raiding fun. We're not too scared about the lack of mobility of our army, and we can still play a nice game of Aranos here. Rappel's Aranos has always been somewhat unique. It's kind of modeled a little bit after that 3DB, like mass hero style kind of ideas, and is very, very potent still. But just on the fact that Looki doesn't have access to Forseti, he has to play a more stock standard game, which does mean that these Mamilla are going to be very tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Not having access to Dwarven Breastplate means that these Berserks will have very few counters. Throwing X-Men obviously countering them, but with Caladria there, with the Empyrean speed, as we saw there, they can dodge the projectiles. And yeah, it's not like it's just because Kyra has been buffed to the point where I would say they've become meta. Doesn't mean that you cannot go for this style, especially since, like you're saying, it's such a good counter to the Freya.
Well, I guess the other thing here though is like Looki, he doesn't have to really do much. Like you can kind of just sit back and just play like a game, a nice macro game here with Thor. You've got get a nice heroic gauge, secure your gold mines. Just play some Age of Mythology. You don't have to do anything like tricky, not like strategically tricky. Just play stock standard Age of Mythology. Get to heroic gauge, get Huskar, get Throw and Axeman. That kind of composition is always really, really tough to deal with for Atlantean.
Yeah, and I think it's the right call to make here because Rebel is investing a lot into these Mamillos. He's getting Bite of the Shark, he's getting Empyrean speed, surely he's getting medium infantry now as well. So trying to compete with this super buffed Atlantean army, probably not the best thing to do. So what you just do is exactly what you just said. You just sit in your base, you invite them to come into your base, at which point you can actually compete with them because you've got such a nice defender's advantage.
I just want to point out the Valkyrie just runs in and just like pokes the talent center, then runs away. I just found that funny. I don't know why.
Dude, Luke,
joke.
I think Luki has lost like in total 3 or 4 units here and there, just scouting around and being caught by the army plus the Caladria. And this may not seem like much, but all in all, this does add up.
Yeah, every little bit of kill here for the Uranus is it's just kind of helping level the playing field in terms of economy. But this is going to be nice here for Looki getting a little bit of a catch. Those Caladrias are going to be a lot of pain for Looki to deal with. Luki's got to get himself set up here with some walls. Raiding Cavalry almost going down as he pulls back. Did he lose his Valkyrie there? I think he might have.
Did he? Maybe. There's 3 Caladrias now. And those
Yes.
2 raiding cavalry are very low, so they won't be healed up if there's no Valkyrie either. There's a new one, though.
Yeah. Yeah, Luki's going to be... these Caladri are so good at just sniping these units or making themselves a threat. When there's low numbers, they're so strong.
Yeah.
And also picking off reinforcements here as they're popping out.
TheRapl is finding these small numbers everywhere. Luki's continually sending units around the map, and they just get spotted every time. TheRapl there with his small armies, his small numbers of Caladria, and he's just punishing Looki for even, escaping his base with even just a few units here and there. It's not working out for Looki, and I think he's maybe realizing this now. He's starting to wall up, and he's just gonna auto-queue units over onto this position instead. Well, I say that.
Oh. You gotta be so careful. I just when you're playing against the Caladria, I just don't think you move out. You just say, great, have all the position. You've got the sky passages anyways. I can't realistically stop you. Maybe I can send one unit here or there trying to snipe oracles, but just be okay with losing it, I guess. You got to get that heroic gauge in. We see Skadi pre-queued here for Looki. If you can get Skadi, all of a sudden he can push back into his main base, click Dwarven Mine, give himself a little bit more time to get those hill forts up and get those Huskal. He does have Hunt at the top side of the map that he's grabbing with a beautiful wall there. So there's nothing really scary right now for Looki, but
I think this is scary.
A really good game. It's scary with the units knocking on his door, but he can just retreat back into his main base if he needs to.
That's true, but then he will be forced to use his Dwarven Gold Mine with only 1,000 in it, and he doesn't want to do that. So this is scary for Looki. He's pre-queued Skadi, like he wants to go heroic age here clearly, but now being forced off of this gold mine, not having an army to compete, it's a scary position to be in. Yeah, he's got himself how much?
Mine does need to come down.
He's got 7 favors, so it's not even like if he goes heroic now, it's not even like he's got a new gold mine ready and available.
Okay, so it's 500 gold for the heroic age, and then you've got 200 gold. You got 700 gold left. We get up to 175 pop. We get frost. We get a nice engagement onto this Aranis army, and then we're back out onto a gold mine. That's got to be the plan here for Looki, but the plan for TheRapl is clearly, let me get to the heroic age as well, and I'm going to have chaos. So when I pop out of my frosted army, I'm good to go. I'll click chaos on your throw an axeman. I'll get my satyr in here, and life gets very, very difficult very quickly for this Thor army.
Yeah, indeed. Skadi is in. Hyperion not quite yet. Will be very soon. So yeah, I do reckon exactly what you're saying is what's going to happen. The question is, will Frost hit before Chaos is in? If it does, there's an opportunity that if Looki uses it on half the army, that he will be able to chunk down a significant portion of the remaining army during that Frost. And that could be a bit of a disaster for TheRapl if that happens.
Yeah, Luki's out in the middle of the map just trying to gain tiny bits of favor here. I don't know what he's really wanting. Maybe like a Frost Giant, maybe? A good little poking as the raiding cavalry aren't anywhere to be seen. TheRapl got to be very careful here, though. If he gets caught out and loses those Terma, then all of a sudden these throwing axemen become a very, very difficult thing to kill off. But the raiding cavalry went straight into the Millos.
Yeah, this is terrible for Looki. There's Valkyries getting caught as well. The Caladria are on the case, and a lot of these units are now low HP, which is not what Looki wanted to see.
Okay, but Looki is distracting TheRapl away from his gold mine. He can get over there and throw down that hill fort on the gold mine right now. Actually, he's getting himself Hunter's Axe straight away. Interesting. An extra range for the throwing axeman could be what he needs, but he does not have the gold right now for heavy infantry, which he also really needs. And it looks like Hyperion's going to come through, and Chaos, Carnivora, Shockwave against Frost there is a potential for a really nice forest fire on this position, and I love that Looki has held on to this. So this could be his almost his saving grace here to try and defend this gold mine.
Yeah, because there's so many forests scattered around this map. You're almost certain that whenever a big fight occurs, that forest fire will be able to be used. And let's see, TheRapl, is he? No, he's sending his army here. Ooh, Looki has to send his army in one location now. He's kind of scattered his army in 3 different spots, and he's now being targeted down by the Terma, plus the Caladria slowing them down.
Yeah, this army here almost has to get frosted, right? There's the forest fire, but no frost. Just there's the shockwave. Is the frost going on to half of the army?
He did
here.
the half army thing.
Chaos
yes.
Onto the back army as well. I don't know if this is it for Looki. TheRapl's at full population. There's still a Carnivora to get put onto this position. And he does throw that straight onto the throwing axeman here. And now he's also going to be manually targeting those throwing axemen. He's doing a good job of it as the Caladria floating on top of the army.
Ooh, this looks
population to 131 though. It's still very, very close here, Soup.
Really, really good micro there from Looki. He cannot use a move when there are Caladria in the near vicinity, and he still makes it work. And I thought this was looking really, really poor for Looki. I think TheRapl is probably still ahead. You see that reflected in the resources of the army value, slightly ahead. But dude, Looki, he's chasing units around. He'll be able to get a lot of units as they're retreating here.
Yeah, these are the speedy Aranos Murmillo. I imagine TheRapl has got himself Empyrean speed here, so be able to get out of there. But this is what Looki needed. He needed to hold this spot. He's managed to do so. Now he's got it. Well, he could try and chase down. He does have a whole bunch of throwing axemen. There's really not that many Terma here, but soon there's going to be mass Arcus, and we've already talked about this. While this is going to be Freya raiding cavalry, you need Huskal when it comes to dealing with these Arcus, when it comes to dealing with ranged units. That's the secret for Norse to deal with the ranged units. I'm going to see a town center getting dropped here.
Lovely TC grab from Looki. There's so many resources nearby, even a pack of deer in the back. But TheRapl is on the case. He's there with his entire army. There's raiding cavalry out of position for Looki. Looki now taking this fight despite having just sent a bunch of raiding cavalry away from this position. And he doesn't have any units to counter the Arcus or the Terma in the back here.
No, but if you can clean up that front line, the Berserks, they can kind of just pretend like they're cavalry a little bit. So they do have low HP or low hack armor, but it looks like the army is just not going to quite cut it there for Looki as he has to pull back. But there's
something to, see, that's the raiding party that Looki went away with. 2 Valkyries and like 5 raiding cavalry. They would have been so good in that big fight.
I think they would have something.
We just got something of a raid off there, but it's not quite as much as you would have been able to get if they were in that main fight.
Yeah, but this is something here that, you know, TheRapl can't really deal with. A couple of raiding cavalry running around the map getting villager kills. He's got Murmillo, 5 speed, not enough to chase those 6.6 speed raiding cavalry. Looki can sit in his main base now. He's got Dwarven Mine with 3,000 gold. He's going to get pushed off of his forward gold mine here, but he has a nice little retreat path through the wall. And he's going to be able to macro back up an army. But he needs to be thinking Huskal. Now, he doesn't have himself that Hall of Thanes, which really makes the Huskal pop in terms of effectiveness. But there's still the angle here. He needs to start thinking about getting those hill forts down.
Yeah, they'll tank a lot. Even if they don't get to their designated targets, they will still tank a lot of arrow fire. And he's Winter Harvest, big upgrade to get when you have access to it through Skadi. Also Thundering Hooves coming in, so I don't think we're gonna see Huskals, to be honest here. He's already invested into heavy cavalry and now getting Thundering Hooves. I think it's just gonna be TARC. Oh, good sorry?
It can work, right? It can work. Good positioning. He's got his army looks really powerful here.
Yeah.
Like you look, it's all upgraded. These Arcus here gonna get
4 satyrs though.
Satyrs. There's no heroes here for Looki, and he's charging in onto this.
Shockwave is
also
big.
Gonna be going down. Oof.
But the surround is still there. Just no heroes for Looki. Not even a single goatee. Valkyrie is there, should probably be targeting the sages with the Valkyrie. Either way, the surround is just working.
Yeah, this army here is seeming like it is managing to get through those archers, but at the
the satyrs.
not the satyrs though. At the very best, he's trading equal, but it's looking like he's actually falling behind on population as well. As TheRapl, like he kind of knows as well. Like he's not actually going to win this game in the next. Maybe he will, but he's not going to win this game in the next minute or two. He's just winning these fights is allowing him to take more towns, and he's going to be able to get a villager lead and a population lead, and just slowly start building on this advantage that he's got.
And these are, look at it, 4 Caladria, 4 satyrs. These are just complementing each other. The satyrs are not going down so long as the Caladria are there with the burst heal and even with the pacify on units that do end up on those satyrs.
Yeah, and the other thing, actually, no, we don't see it. There is a potential for another Carnivora, but no chaos in the next near future. But there will be something to come through pretty shortly. 30 favor is all he needs for another chaos, which can be enough to turn the next fight very, very simply. And TheRapl now moving across the map, trying to get sky passages all over the place. Having that mobility is key. But Looki is back up to 161 of 175 pop. He kind of needs a town center here, wouldn't you say, to get that final population in to maybe get a decisive victory of a fight.
For sure. Look at the army resource value. 4,200 for Looki, 5,700 for TheRapl. So even though, like you're saying, Looki is getting to full population, it's just not, he doesn't have the army value that the TheRapl's got. But he's got Goldie now, and he's targeting down these satyrs. This could be the difference.
The satyrs getting cleaned up here could be enough, but this throwing axemen here aren't going to be that useful behind this. He's got garrison micro as well onto this town center, and Looki just keeps on trying to throw his army in here. TheRapl sitting at a pretty solid 84 population. The Goldie aren't going to be any use now against those archers, and TheRapl puts the shockwave in to get even more kills on the retreat.
I think now there's no more doubt about it. Hostiles are needed. The Arcus numbers here are just too big, especially under a town center where they can garrison in and out. There's just no way that you can deal with that as Norse without hostiles. Even portable rams to tank the arrow fire as well.
Just something else. Something else clearly. But I mean, right? You see how many raiding cavalry he's got. He's just playing into it. He's got the.
It's a good attack though.
Hooves.
He's stopping this. I think.
There's really not that much front line here either. Maybe if we can break this, a lot of citizens here.
The Caladria going down while we're saying this, but the Mamillos are really tanking a ton. Even just 5 or 6, like you're saying, not a lot, but it's enough.
He does get through that, but as soon as that front line goes, TheRapl could just go into his garrison bag of tricks here, and Looki has to retreat away.
Yeah, and he didn't target down the palace. He did go for the citizens instead. But what that means is that now TheRapl can build the palace. And he's gonna go up right here.
And it's finished.
All right, Looki, let's see the hill fort, please.
On hill fort, good sir.
He's getting the shaft mine upgrade, so adding to his economy just a bit. He's still mining over on that right side. I don't know if TheRapl kind of forgot about it, but yeah, you see this.
I guess TheRapl at the moment can't really move out. If he's going for full Arcus and his opponent's full raiding cavalry, the Arcus are a defensive powerhouse. You can't push them. But then again, the Arcus can't get caught out. Otherwise, the raiding cavalry get the full surround and they're going to be able to kill them off. So
Looki,
Looki's safe there.
It's a big risky raid that he's making here, trying to make something happen because he's exposing his remaining map while this is happening, and so far not really finding anything. Maybe getting one citizen kill here. No.
I mean, at the moment, he's managing to set up the hill fort on the left-hand corner of the map. We do see the units jumping into that sky passage. He's got maybe a little bit of line of sight on what's going on there.
What is this?
He misses the raiding cavalry. It's so hard to kill Urano's villages.
Dude, this left side of the map, there's 3 gold mines and a town center. If Looki can secure that, that'll give him all the resources he needs for the for the next 20 minutes or so.
Yep.
Whoa,
And
yo, look, Looki, what is he doing?
he's got to get back over onto these raiding cavalry. Onto these, he's got to get these raiding cavalry back.
Look at this.
Whoa!
Look at this.
Oh, he's Balder. Balder is an option.
He's Baldering.
Okay, well, okay. Think about it. I got. How do you kill off Arcus? Maybe it's not Ragnarok, but it's just Fire Giant. Maybe it's
I think it's Ragnarok,
but it's Sons of Slipnir. I don't want to say it's going to be Ragnarok because I just don't see Ragnarok ever beating Uranos.
Sons of Sleipnir is such a bad upgrade, though. I don't know. Or maybe it isn't, because Looki is so adamant on using raiding cavalry here. And seeing how he does just prioritize this unit above anything else. Dude, maybe that is what he's going to need here. Hikati is in for Rebel now. And I don't know, Looki is looking like he can secure the left side here. He's got, like I said, 2-3 gold mines over on that location. He doesn't have to use Ragnarok immediately here at all.
He doesn't have to. It's not even a god power that should be coming across his mind to be using. Fire Giant, Sons of Slipnir, and get his position sorted. Like Thor does not. I don't think that Thor loses this one if he gets is equal on villages. Like I don't think Thor loses this late game even without Fimbulwinter, even without the Huskull bravery, even without all that. I think Thor is completely fine here. Where Thor loses this is where you click Ragnarok.
It used to be the instant win button. Now it's the instant lose button. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying against Uranos with the sky passages, like how are you going to deny gold? How you kill off all the town centers, no worries, and then the villages are on the other side of the map. More army comes up, and you've just got no economy. And maybe Ragnarok works against say Kronos, or maybe it works against Gaia, but against Uranos, the defensive resources are just unlimited.
You're right, Boyd. You're right. Champion cavalry, Sons of Sleipnir are in. Mythic Age is in, and there's no rag being cast. So, dude, I'm excited to see if this works. What do you say? You predicted this. Is it gonna work then?
Well, Fire Giant, Sons of you say Sleipnir, we'll go with Sleipnir, and what do? Build Hero Arcus? Okay, now all you guys are gonna die. We see that. Okay, we're gonna get the fully armored up raiding cavalry as well. There is a world where Ragnarok does come into the picture here, but that world is when you're fully upgraded, you've got resources in the bank, and you want to set up a position somewhere with a whole bunch of buildings. I don't really. Okay, we're seeing units running forward. It must be.
Well, you know what's
there it goes.
cute? You know what's really cute is that this kind of mitigates the Tartarian Gate quite a bit.
That's true. True, his base is going to get erased, but TheRapl holds here. I don't know if he needed to do this, but he is going for it. He's got himself champion, fully upgraded raiding cavalry. Those rag heroes do have a huge amount of armor. Looki is betting it all on this Ragnarok to try and end this game, or at the very least kill a huge amount of Rappel's economy. He's got himself some food in the back. He's going to be losing his hometown center. He's got a handful of dwarves that didn't get converted there, it looks like, from maybe getting them from the armory afterwards. A town center going to go down. Rappel is spread out on both corners of the map with the sky passages.
Oh, the sky passages, you're right. Look in the top left corner. He's got a really nice position on that gold mine. And the right, like you said. And these Arcus, they're well protected among these barracks. And he has so many retreat points here. He's losing a ton of town centers, yeah, sure. But you see 255 population for Looki. He's slowly dwindling in numbers, and Rebel's still sitting on 200 population.
Well, I mean, Rappel here, he's always going to get frosted. The army does decide it can get through into that sky passage before popping back out. Looki's still got army to throw. 220 military population versus 100 military population is a big deal. If he kills the town center, he kills the sky passage. All of those Arcus will end up falling. And Looki is spread out all over the map. He's losing all these houses, though. This is as all in as it gets.
Yeah, for sure. I do actually think that Tartarian Gate is dealing so much damage. In hindsight, shouldn't Looki have sent just 15 rag heroes to deal with that Tartarian Gate?
I think so. I mean, but then again, maybe you're just looking for the all-in. You say, we're not looking for second place here. The military numbers are getting to close to equal. TheRapl gets the repair in, and the Arcus are now going to be ready to start fighting. Looki going to be losing all of these rag heroes. He's trying to kill off all of the citizen, but I don't see how these heroes beat Arcus and a town center in this position. TheRapl looks like he's held, and he is going to be going on to win this series.
The Ragnarok in 2025. It's rare that we get to see it, and it's rare, even rarer, that we get to see it claim the victory.
Yeah,
W-
there was no. I don't think there was any call for it. He didn't have to click it. Like this is the button of just don't click me until unless I really know that it's going to work. Like if he had the entirety of the map walled off, if you had a whole bunch of portable rams, if you really set up for a big, amazing Ragnarok, yeah, sure, I can get behind it. But it's not this god power that you can use when you're in a losing not a losing position, an equal position. It's not going to give you a win in an equal position at all.
And the thing is, he had just secured that left side. He had just gotten champion cavalry, Sons of Sleipnir up.
Yeah,
He could just sit on that position and see where it would lead him. I was excited to see, are these raiding cavalry with that minor god technology upgrade, is it going to be enough? But we never got to see it because he did eventually just go
yeah,
for that Ragnarok and just didn't work out for him.
yeah. It was he had like I said, I think Thor does really really well when this game gets late. You've got nearly infinite gold in the Dwarven Mine, which means you don't have to really go for a trade route as early as the Uranus player does. Your army in with Balder, I'm fine. I know I'm nowhere interested. I don't think I've really seen it much, but I do think like raiding cavalry with Sons of Slipnir and Thundering Hooves, they're gonna be they're gonna at least force the Uranus player off of Mass Arcus, at least, or at the very least, restrict the Arcus from moving only between Sky Passage, Town Centers, and Palaces.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to see it.
Some really good micro from both sides here, and the Caladria Rebel trying his darndest to make the Caladria be annoying here, but Looki just saying, "All right, I'm gonna
Oh,
continually micro with my throwing X-Men here."
yeah. In all honesty, at the absolute top level, when you got throwing Axeman against Arcus, throwing Axeman against Peltas, throwing Axeman against Toxotes, throwing Axeman against ranged units, you really should be shooting scooting for the entirety of the fight because you could dodge a volley of an arrow, keep a unit alive. So shoot, auto attack, or shoot and specifically click on the unit you want to attack, and you can get a lot more value out of that and completely play around the Caladria. Obviously, it's a lot of micro and a huge amount of practice to sink into that one skill, but it's definitely an angle to go to.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that happening. Dude, the Sages in that fight were just so good. Here we
Yeah,
finally see the Goldie. They took care of the Carnivora. They took down two Sages already, but the garrisoning in and out with these Arcus, too
yeah.
difficult to deal with for the
This
raiding
fight here,
cavalry.
you just have to retreat. You say, "Great, I killed off the Satyr. Let me pull back. We're all good." You know, he doesn't have to
Yeah.
keep on full sending here. I don't think.
Yeah, because once you are in this position with this many Arcus on your town center, it's just so much guaranteed value throughout that fight. And here, yeah, I'm so it's cool that we got to see the rag for sure, but I kind of wish we got to see how well these raiding cavalry would have fared without the Ragnarok.
Yeah. Well, I mean, credit where credit's due. TheRapl played a really nice game here of containment and claiming wins in fights and holding on and holding off on. And it was an interesting game because you don't really get to see the Freya Oceanus angle all too much. But you know, credit where credit's due. TheRapl gets the dub.